What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the world famous, just internationally renowned, best wrestling. Renowned, whatever. It doesn't matter at this point.
We were known. Now we're renowned.
Yeah.
Because it's season 2.
If you didn't know, now you know. It is Dave Sturchio. It is Josh Shernoff. It's another episode of the Wrestling Hour coming to you first and early on adfreeshows.com. I want to thank those guys over there for putting us up and, getting us some more fans and more attention to the pod and, just awesome to network and be on the same network as guys like Conrad and Eric Bischoff, and the list goes on and on of the guys that host shows on this thing. So that's just incredible to be a part of it. And of course, in a couple days, we will be on MyFandom's YouTube channel, which is right at the cusp of 25,000 subscribers. So
yeah,
let's get on that.
Last I checked, I think we got 24 to go.
Yeah, something to that effect. And I think we just eclipsed 3 million views on our YouTube channel. So you could go check that out as well. There's a lot of cool shit. I mean,
we're also going to be on the MyFandom YouTube channel and the Ad Free Shows YouTube channel this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern time for the unofficial pre-show to Saturday night's main event.
Are we calling that a pre-show? Or are we calling that a kickoff show?
We're calling it a pre-show because we're not actually. So this is okay in my mind. This is what I decided.
Let's break it down.
Whatever. I think if we're there and we're a part of it, like GCW, it's a kickoff show because we are kicking it off for the crowd in attendance and you get to watch it at home.
Makes sense.
However, the show in no way, shape, or form has started. We are not there. So this is a pre-show.
This
is
all right.
Leading up to the show.
I'll have to change my LinkedIn.
But it's the official. The official. Unofficial, right? Because there are a lot of unofficial pre-shows.
Yeah.
But we are the official unofficial pre-show. Yes. Why? Because we're on adfreeshows.com.
There you go. And once again, thank you to everybody who's been listening, following along, and who joined us for the Survivor Series pre-show. So if you had some fun there, hey, bring your ass back here for Saturday night's main event. Now, Saturday night's main event, Josh, we're getting closer. We're a couple days off. A lot of steam being built to the Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes thing, and it's going to be an incredible night. But I want some nostalgia on this episode. I want some things that we can talk about when it comes to Saturday night's main event, or in general, because what Triple H just announced not too long ago was that Jesse the Body Ventura was going to be returning on commentary for this. So this is like, are we at the point now where Triple H being at the head of the table, I guess, in regards to corporate, are we at the crossroads here where we just think that Triple H can do no wrong at this point?
I think we definitely are at least pretending to ourselves that that's where we are, right? It's so funny because like Triple H, younger fans might not realize this, but if you go, people our age, right, who were there, watched when Triple H first debuted and all this stuff, nobody thought twice, right? He's Hunter Hearst Helmsley. You liked him or you didn't like him, then he's Triple H with DX.
He was terrorizing first.
No, I'm talking about WWF, come on. Terrorizing. I mean, I think we all knew one day
it's almost as good as terrorizing is almost as good as destruction. Almost, yes.
Not quite there. Okay, so there was this time period where he's working his way up. Everybody loved him in DX, but then it was the time period when people started finding out about him and Stephanie legitimately in real life. It was, Triple H, man, he's holding people down. He's burying this one. He's doing that. He only cares about himself. He only wants to put himself on TV. He only wants all this stuff. And it's amazing that it went from that to when he started with NXT, all of a sudden, Triple H is God. Like we love Triple H. Triple H can do no wrong. Look at all the things he's doing. Vince is terrible, but Triple H, he's guy, if only he could take control. So I love the fact that we're now in that world where Triple H is, Triple H can do no wrong. We love Triple H. I'm just unfortunately waiting for when the fans decide in their typical fashion to turn around and go like, oh man, Triple H, he's out of touch. He's got, the second there's one thing that they don't like any of these people watching, like any of us could bat 1,000, like.
In defense to that, I feel like there are, to this like current product, there's a couple storylines and I'm just like, meh, like
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, Triple H has lost his touch. It's just like there's a pizza, right? And there's different slices, right? Which slice do you want? Oh, I want the cheese one. Oh, you want anchovies? Well, that sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but like that's what I'm talking about.
Are these different pizzas or one pizza with multiple slices of different toppings?
You know what? Gosh, you're breaking it down way too intricate.
Well, I need to know. I need to know what I'm eating.
These are the things that you have to be interested in. I totally understand. But what I'm saying is there's flavors for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And there are things that I can't get behind, and then there's things I'm like, this is the greatest thing that I've seen on television in a pro wrestling state, right? What I'm thinking is Triple H, his come up and the Stephanie McMahon stuff, not only was like people were like, oh, he's burying people, he wants to be on TV so much. That was the most captivating shit on television at the time. So it wasn't like,
well, that was the thing too, right? It wasn't like I'm trying to think of some random person, I can't even think of someone who's so like Colin Delaney. This wasn't like that's who was all of a sudden sleeping with Stephanie, so now he's main eventing and all that stuff. It was why Colin Delaney?
Yeah, that was really out of left.
But my point is, Triple H is, he's phenomenal. When you look back on Triple H, for instance, we talked on here that now my kids are really getting into it, so they will occasionally be like, hey, can I watch, is there a match, like, did so-and-so ever wrestle so-and-so? And we'll, like, dig back. So we just watched WrestleMania, Seth Rollins versus Triple H. What was that, 32? Was that 32? Somewhere in there. Yeah. But I can tell you every single one up until, like, 20. And then I start getting confused, right?
Yes.
I can tell you all of them, but,
I'm probably that way up until about 17, because even 18 and 19 in my mind. Was 19 Hogan Rock? No,
that was 18.
That was 18.
18 was Hogan Rock. 19 was
17 was incredible. That was like one of the better ones.
Incredible. 19 was when you had Jericho and Michaels. You had Angle and Brock.
You know what? It's funny, man, and not to bring this down. Not to bring
Hogan and McMahon.
Not to bring the podcast down.
Okay.
But 19. Unfortunately, has been like erased mentally and emotionally from me. I lost my dog that night. Like that, like I lost my dog. It was the worst thing ever. I had all my friends over for WrestleMania and my dog got out, right? He was a husky and he just loved to dig and just escape the yard. But the town knew him. The town was like, there's Bandit again. He's fucking running around, go, Dave, come get your dog, And that night, WrestleMania, he got hit by a car, and I lost my dog that night. That's why like, yeah, dude, it was a rough night because then I had to go back into the house, and as this is happening, because we're like, at one point I forget which match it was, but like at one point I'm like, I don't hear the dog anymore. You know what I mean? Like let me go check, and then you see flashing lights and cops down the street, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? It was rough. It was totally rough. But now the brain works in mysterious ways, and you're like, why does that block out? That blocks it out, which is crazy because 19 was a very, very good WrestleMania because Brock and Angle. Angle was one of my favorite matches ever, and same with Shawn and Jericho. But but
I could see it.
Bring it off, but
I could see it being clouded by traumatizing.
20 doesn't get I don't think 20 gets a fair rub either now because of the fact that the Benoit thing. But like that triple threat match was incredible, incredible. And you had Eddie Guerrero, and now I'm going off on a freaking WrestleMania tangent, but yes, to go back to your point, you were saying that your son watched Rollins and Triple H. No,
all I'm saying is looking at Triple H in that match, this many years removed, you find a new appreciation for how good he was, how really good he was, because, and this isn't a knock on any current talent, but there aren't as many. I mean, I think sometimes it's hard to differentiate Randy Orton, the uh, the talent that Randy Orton is, and Randy Orton, the experienced wrestler, if that makes
Right.
sense. Like, Randy Orton started with so much raw talent that it's not fair to compare him to anyone at the same time as him, or anyone. I feel like I'm a huge fan of Randy Orton in the ring. I think he's just incredible. And so we see Randy Orton, and sometimes you're just like, oh, well, you know, Orton's been there forever. That's why he's so good. And then you forget, like, no, it's also because he's Randy Orton. There are not that many people who have been in wrestling for so long, who came up in the time period, at least, of some of these other guys who know how to work, how to really work. So when you go back and you watch some of these things, we recently watched, and I know I'm talking about like the greatest matches of all time. We recently watched Brett and Stone Cold, WrestleMania 13. And
You let your kids watch that?
well, so here's why. They had just watched Hell in a Cell.
Little color. Oh, all right.
They just watched the Hell in a Cell with Drew, and CM Punk, and you know they know that Drew is, they get a kick out of when I was able to text Drew afterwards, and they see him text me back, and they're like, Dad's not a liar, but it. I don't text when they so sometimes now they assume, because I'm friends with Drew, they assume that I know everyone and that I can just text anyone. So it's like, Dad, can you tell Roman Reigns that he
set their expectations a little lower?
Yeah, like, Dad, can you tell Roman Reigns and I'm like, I've never met Roman Reigns. I don't know Roman Reigns. And no, I can't.
Can you text Roman Reigns and tell him that I acknowledge him as the tribal chief, please? Can you do it? And you're
Which
like,
is better than a couple years ago when my son first got into it, and when they screwed Cody over. That was the first match that he ever watched. Was the main event of WrestleMania, was in 39, and he was my at the time, I guess he was 6 when he was watching this. He was not happy. Like, he said if he had been there, he would have, his exact quote was, I would have punched him in the pecker. So it was,
you know what? Not gonna lie.
tremendous.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I might adopt that one. I like that. Like, I will
Punch him in the pecker, man. It's the most, it's clean. It's not inappropriate, but it's very specific.
Effective.
Yeah.
Effective.
But that was his thing. Like, when he saw that, he's like, he cheated. He shouldn't have won. He cheated. And I'm like, yeah, buddy. But if the ref didn't see it, and he's like, well, if I was there, I would have run into the ring and punched him in the pecker. And all I'm thinking to myself is,
I'm so proud of you.
I really wish you could have done that. Like, that would have been, because then I could sit there as the father and just be like, I don't know. I mean, it's a 6-year-old kid. He just ran in. Guys, I'm sorry. Who knew he could hop over the guardrail? Oh, you have me on film assisting him? But I was holding him up so he could see.
I just didn't want him to fall backwards, so I pushed him forward.
You can clearly see on camera me telling him, now, go now. Yeah, that was, I was asking if he had to use the bathroom. So, no, but I think that would have been great. So, no, but they'll sometimes ask me, but yeah, so they had just seen that. And so, like I said to them, I was like, there's another match, because they were all like, I was looking through action figures, right? For, holidays are coming, and looking at action figures, and they see Stone Cold, and it's so funny because they're like, who's this? I'm like, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he's like, is he a good guy, or is he a bad? Like, and I'm just like, so he was like the biggest star in the history of wrestling and all. But they don't even know who John Cena is, other than the fact that there have been these like commercials that John Cena's, they know that he showed up to help Cody. Like, but they don't, you know what I mean? It's so weird, because to me, John Cena is the star of the next generation, right? Like, I had Brett and Shawn. I had, started with Hogan, and then I had, Rock and Austin. And then after that, it was like, well, now I'm an adult who still watches wrestling, but I'm not, right? You know what I'm saying? So, like,
you don't have heroes anymore.
Right, exactly.
Well,
So
I'm
to
here to
me,
tell you. I'm here to tell you that I still have heroes.
I
39 years old.
and
Sean,
you know what? And I
I'm
hope the
still mad, man.
Ryback comes back. But I
So
hey
little by little,
the Rumbles, right?
Josh, little by little, starting to buy
Sm-
into a
he's a
lot of
small.
stuff.
He's turning babyface. It's happening.
I'm like, you know what? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, funny.
Oh man, it's
Yeah. Good times.
yeah. So
But
anyway, so they saw it, and what I'm saying is like you notice the movement in the guys like Stone Cold and Brett, and again, I'm talking about uh the best ever, you know. But you're
yeah,
looking at Stone Cold, and you're looking at Brett, and you're looking at Triple H, and you see there is no wasted motion. That's the best way to describe it. Every single movement that they make with their bodies means something. There's there's an intent behind everything they do. And that's
sure.
what's missing from a lot of today's wrestlers. Not all of them, but a lot of today's wrestlers. And even if it's not missing from the wrestler, it's missing from the story of the match, because so often we're getting to that next spot. You know, there's that like cliche joke of I think it was even it was what's his name? Oh God, what's the dude? He's in the Jurassic Park. Now he's the wizard in Wicked.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name.
There's
I
a whole
saw him on
month.
an old episode of Friends, and he was like giving advice to Joey for acting. And it
Oh,
was
dude.
such
Oh, dude. That's such a good
yeah.
episode.
And as someone who's been in, you know, acting school and stuff and trained in that, it's so funny how what seemed so ridiculous is actually kind of the ridiculous stuff they'll tell you sometimes. Like, don't learn the lines, allow the lines to learn you. Like weird shit like that. That's one of the things he said. And I mean, it was definitely tongue in cheek, but the idea of it is, the concept behind it is always to like learn your intent of the scene, right? So
Right.
why are you here? What is your intention? What are you doing? And I feel like all of that is applicable in wrestling as well. So it's like, why are you doing what you're doing? And if all you're doing is thinking about what that next spot is, you're not thinking about, you're not paying attention to that filler time between
And
the
there's
spots.
and what's funny about that is that's a big issue with younger wrestlers who are just learning, right? And they're just like, okay, spot, 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 spot. They don't know how to. They don't know what to do in that downtime. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Where the seasoned vets, like
And
a
that's
Triple
what,
H,
that's what makes the match.
everything.
That's what makes the match, in my opinion. Because you see these people and you go like people look at guys like the Young Bucks, and you know, some people think they're the greatest of all time, and some people like myself are like, they're fine. And people be like, well, how can you say they're fine? Look at what they can do. And don't get me wrong, every move they can hit, they do it, you know, to an excellent level. They do their wrestling move, you know. It's the in between. It's what you're doing in between that matters. Right. And if you can't be continuing to tell the story and continuing to show the intent of your character in the ring, your intention is to win, right? Your intention is to beat this wrestler. So if they've just been beating you down on your arm or something, when we say things like sell the arm, you know, keep selling it, that doesn't mean in between moves just ow, my arm hurts. It means, and I hate to use him as an example, but it pops to mind, Chris Benoit. I think it was the first Money in the Bank match. They did some sort of spot where he injured his arm or whatever. And there was such legitimacy to how he carried his arm throughout the rest of the match. And it wasn't this like going back to continuing to sell it. It was, while he appeared as though he wasn't paying attention to his arm at all, his body language was still showing that, you know, and it's which is why some people get off on trying to talk about him as such an amazing wrestler and all, because they somehow think it's cool to you know, we now live in a society where we celebrate murderers, but just go on social media, but
and make sure you choose your healthcare provider. accordingly.
God, but no, but like, with him, like, you can't take anything away from the talent that he was in the ring, and it's tough. It's tough because I used to study his matches,
Dude, Benoit,
and
Benoit was aces,
yeah,
in the ace.
yeah,
It doesn't take away that he's a piece of shit. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
right. I mean, you
he's
have
in
to
the
be
ring.
able to separate them, but you also can't be so ridiculous to think like, oh, but he should be in the Hall of Fame because of how great he was. No,
Oh,
no,
anybody,
he shouldn't
anybody
be,
who's
because that's your
whack,
punishment, right? Like,
right? But
anyway,
anyway, it's going back to the whole thing. This whole conversation started with Triple H and how methodical he is in a different walk of life, and he's
yeah,
now firing on all cylinders. You get Saturday night's main event back. We're all excited for the nostalgia. It's going down in Long Island, New York, which is like really hits even closer to home, because these are some of the places, if not the place, to do it. You know what I mean?
right.
I think it's a very cool callback in the wrestling industry. I think everybody's very excited about it. Again, I don't know the card top to bottom, but we will preview that on the preview show. I'll do some more of my due diligence and my homework on it. But yeah, very excited about that. We'll get more into the Saturday night's main event on Saturday.
Do you think it's going to have they keep referring to it as like the nostalgic, or like, going back all the way back in time, like they're really playing it up. Do you think they do the red, white, and blue ropes? Or
Oh,
not?
I would kill for that. I would absolutely kill. I would kill for a blue apron. I would kill for
Yeah,
like
it's
the
just,
complete nostalgia of it, and it goes back and it pays tribute to such a cool time when wrestling wasn't mainstream, right? Like,
yeah.
you get a show on NBC, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like.
So here's the
And
thing, though. How old school do you go when you're getting this opportunity to be on this mainstream NBC, like, prime time? So the thing is, that's where I feel like you're going to see WWE putting its best foot forward with their graphics, with their, they're not going to go, this isn't going to be like old school Raw,
no,
which, by the
no,
way, always sucked, always was wrong, always was a hybrid.
You didn't like it.
May I, for a moment? I feel like when we're editing here, we're going to see a whole lot of spikes in Josh's audio and not as much in Dave's, but
Go for it.
Okay. The problem I had with the old school Raw, the very first one was the best one that they ever did. They even had the original aprons and stuff, like the actual original WWF aprons and stuff, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Then they switched them to, they made ones that looked like it, WWE, and I get it, legality purposes and whatnot. Like, fine,
Sure.
Totally understand it. But it was always a hybrid. It was always like, here's the 3 Raw letters, here's the giant Tron above it, here's the pillars on the side. It's like, no, that's several different eras of Raw all mixed together in the stage. And then you come down and here's Michael Cole dressed like 1980s Vince McMahon, which Vince McMahon never wore the jacket with the WWF logo. I'm sure someone will be like, there was that one time in 1994. But Vince traditionally was either wearing, in the beginning, wore a tuxedo, if you remember, in the beginning of Raw, or switched over where he was wearing like a turtleneck and like the Raw's wore jean, jacket and stuff. So they were mixing too many things. And then they're like, it's Monday Night Raw. Let's bring out the legends, Dusty Rhodes. And I'm like, was he ever on Raw? Like, no, he left like 3 years before Raw debuted. So like, it's like, and here's the $1 Million Man who was on Raw with Money Inc. and all that stuff. And it's fine. But I'm just saying, like, it was very much like, welcome the stars of the 80s to the retro Monday Night Raw, featuring the stage from both 1995 and 1997. And it was like, it never...
That actually would have made more sense for Saturday night's main event.
Right. I mean? It was like, here's Mean Gene on the podium going to do an interview. And you're like, that was Superstars. That wasn't... And that was 1990. So it never worked. The closest they got to it was when they went back to the Manhattan Center,
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. Even the fact that they had the screen on there that looked like the old school light up neon light thing that they did. That was really cool. Except they put all of their focus on the Barclays Center and the show that was going on over there and did basically nothing except they had JR and King sitting at the, even though JR, like, I'm not sure he was ever really at, I mean, maybe a few times, but JR and King, that's Attitude Era. That's not Manhattan Center.
So
And it was all, so that's what I'm saying. It was always a hybrid.
Yeah, they got their years mixed up, and they just figured this is how we're gonna do it. It's gonna be great. And then there's people like you, and there's people like you, and there's people like the fans. The smarter fans are just like, no, like this isn't
take
right
me back in time. Don't take me to like a hey, that's kind of cool. See that picture hanging on the wall? Like that? No, like take me back into it. And I think one thing that is sorely missing at this point, there has never been a retro Attitude Era Raw. And I'm not talking with sleazy crap and all that. But they never went back to the black turnbuckle posts and the red ropes and the big stage leading up to the, you know, to the Titantron and stuff like the
kinda
way
like
the set.
Kind of like the one your brother built.
Yeah. But, you know, but they never went back to that. Like that, that is what I would have wanted to see, especially with guys like, and I know they like slightly teased it with the logo for the 30th Raw or whatever. It looked like Raw is 30, you know, but I would love to see like a retro Raw where it kicks off with the old school, you know, thing, like where they're maybe they can even refilm them like fighting in the ring with the ropes on fire kind of crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would love to see that where then it's like the pyro comes and make it really like old school where you come over and it's like, it's just black guardrail and black mats on the outside and, you know, the Raw's War ring with the red ropes and stuff. Like give us that and then give us maybe, you know, that's a time where you can have like, you know, because then you're like Michael Cole isn't playing the role of Vince McMahon. Michael Cole can dress like Michael Cole from back in the day, you know? And like,
I think it started like welcome to Monday Night Raw, and then you hear like bow, 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 bow.
Yep.
Here comes the Godfather with all the hose and shit.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
all right.
Because all of those stars and all, like we spent all that time, you know, 15 years ago where it was like, here's Dusty, here's DiBiase, here's IRS, here's all that stuff, which was cool, even though it was like inappropriately placed in a Raw retro show. But now I would love to see like, here comes the Godfather. Like I know he's not wrestling, but here comes the Godfather for something. Here's you know, let Road Dogg come out and cut a promo, you know.
Hello, ladies.
He's probably not coming back, but you know, but you know what I'm saying? Like that, I want to see that. I want to see retro Raw's War. That's what I want to see.
I think this is a good test coming up for WWE to test the waters on how to go old school, but also with their modern spin, right? There is a way, and there's plenty of ways you can go hybrid on this, right? There's for aesthetically pleasing eyes, like yes, red, white, and blue ropes, just the basics, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? You can have the screens on the aprons and screens on the post and have red, white, and blue ropes. Like it's not right. Like you can have your
operation just for one night. Like you can make it work. Just ask Mike Chioda to come back and tape your ropes. He's fantastic at it. You know, so
man, hey, I'm gonna tape the. Hey, I got it for you. I love. First of all, I love Mike Chioda.
He was the best guy that we booked for War on the Shore.
What did I tell you though? Remember, I told you when you're gonna book him. I said I was like, he's not just gonna come ref. Like that dude's gonna set up your shit. Like when we had the first wrestling showcase, and he came in there, and he's like, the ring is like built, and he comes in, he's like, this isn't safe for the boys. And I'm like, well, what's the problem? He's like, I need a couple of guys. And he like grabs a couple guys, and they're just, next thing you know, all the ropes are being taped. The dude, I swear to God, you walk in and he has sent somebody out to buy black spray paint, and he is in the middle of this ballroom in Schaumburg, in the Hyatt Regency Schaumburg, Illinois, spray painting the ring post because he just felt it wasn't going to look good on camera. Like
Whose
the
ring
dude,
was it?
I don't know. Whoever we rented it from, they were super happy because they got. I mean, he went out and like he was replacing turnbuckles, like literally like the turnbuckle. It's like it was just. He's like, this isn't good. He's like, the ropes don't line up right. The guy's gonna hit the ropes. It's not gonna, because he grew up in WWE.
Yeah, we were doing the lighting for War on the Shore, and there was like a light that wasn't high enough, and he walks up to the lighting department guy, and again, he's not my guy. He's like
Yeah.
the house lighting guy for Martel's Tiki Bar, and he's like, yeah, is there any way we can get these lights just a little higher, right? And he's like, nah, man, I'm sorry. He's like, nah, there's got to be a way. Yeah, it's gonna blind some people. It's gonna blind me, right? And he's going off in his spiel, and the guy's like, "Look, man, I've been doing this for a long time." He goes, "Yeah, but I've been WWE for 25 fucking years, brother." He went off
in
on
the
this
Fed. This is how we do it in the Fed.
and I felt so bad for the lighting guy, and I was just like, and I took the lighting guy aside. I'm like, "Look, he's not wrong, Like, he's not wrong. He's been in the business for a while." Anyway, but yeah, there's definitely ways to mold and mix the two genres, either new school and old school, and we'll see how it all looks. I'm sure there will be a couple leaked photos heading in, and of course they have their own. I'm sure they're going to have their own kickoff show. They're treating it like a premium live event, right? They're treating it like a pay-per-view, which is cool, but it's on NBC, so everybody in the world gets to see this, and this is just another example of WWE cutting a deal and reaching a deal with an NBC to say, like, look, it's been a long time since we've been on this network. We could probably really benefit from something like this because I know they're on Peacock and shit like that, which is like the same whatever.
Same company, but yeah,
same company, but like
definitely not the same reach.
No, exactly. And I think that once I got a feeling you're going to hear a lot of Peacock references, throughout the course of the show. Like you can catch up on all the Saturday Night like main events by going on over to Peacock. This is a very good way to rebrand yourself even more. And that's when I say this all kind of circles back to Triple H not missing, because I know there's a lot. He has a hand in everything there is to do with WWE. And it's so admirable to see it. And it's inspiring to somebody like myself, who I have aspirations to do big things on the independent wrestling scene as far as a promoter is concerned. But man, if you're going to take notes from anybody, don't take notes from the fucking guys that are running VFWs. And again, no disrespect to them, but like learn from the best. Like look at what this guy does on the day to day. Did you see the video? I'm sure it popped out. It popped up not too long ago, but like him doing the Shinsuke entrance, like it's like that's
seeing how hands on he is.
Yeah, bro, it's the intricacies like that that's just like, damn, dude, this guy will never ever not have his thumbprint on something, because he knows the best way to do it. And there's nobody that can tell him different. One, because he's the boss. Two, because he's probably the most creative guy to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who I think he's just always gotten it. He always got it. And now he really has, he was given this his own little sandbox in NXT. And that's where he kind of like proved like, yeah, I can do this. And then, oh, hey, WWE, you want to, main roster, you want to take my guys and just make them suck? Sure, knock yourselves out, but I'll make them,
Yeah, do you remember the fears of like all these NXT guys? Like, man, as soon as they get called to the main roster, it's over for them. Like,
look at all of them. Bobby Roode, Karrion Kross.
Yeah, dude, it's like these guys all got called up, and you're just like, all right, well,
the Ascension. Do you remember the Ascension?
Yeah, they were horrible.
The Ascension in NXT.
They crushed on NXT, right? Like, yeah.
And then they show up and they're just buried and they're like Road Warrior ripoffs, and it's just kind of, And listen, some talent and some characters do not translate to different shows. It just doesn't work, and no matter who creative is. I think we have that with the War Raiders. To me, they just don't connect.
I haven't seen them since they came back, like in live action.
I mean, look, you can't take away from them their in-ring ability, their talent. They just don't connect on that level of what this product is. They work down in NXT. I don't know, something about them, they just don't connect. For me.
I'll use your brain for a second.
Oh, you don't want to be in here, buddy.
On something, yeah, I know it's a terrifying place to be in mine and in his. But no, I'm curious to know, like, a guy like Karrion Kross, right? Like Killer Kross has been linked between the both of us for many, many years, right? And a phenomenal human being, an incredible talent. Guy can work, guy can talk, guy can do pretty much everything you need him to do. How do you book him going forward? How do you take a Karrion Kross and really dial him up? Because right now, once again, and I'm not saying it's a dud because I think it's got legs, but like the Authors of Pain and this whole, I just like I said before about the pizza, it's one of those things where it's just like, all right, but I want Cross to do his own thing. Does that make sense?
To me, yeah, I think to me, if I'm looking at Karrion Kross, first of all, I don't what they're doing now. I don't think is a problem at all. I think it's
No,
it's
not a
fine,
problem.
right? No, I know you're not saying it, but I'm just saying like, so for right now, like that's great. But I think for him to go to that next level, I think there needs to be more emphasis on him in the ring as a killer in the ring, and just keep the amount of emphasis outside the ring like they are doing. Keep that. Don't, because he's excellent at that. In fact, maybe even give more of that. But we need to see him be a little bit more dominant in the ring. We need to see more of that Killer Kross from, that we've seen, this killer in the ring. And then I think eventually he's going to have to move on from this group, because I think that spotlight needs to be zeroed in on him and, of course, on Scarlett, because I think she's, phenomenal next to him. And I think, sorry, I was thinking about what she wasn't wearing this past Monday. Like, good Lord. Sitting there watching this with my son, I'm like, my son's about to, he's going, Daddy, I'm having some feelings.
Daddy?
No, but
Daddy, what's happening? Don't worry about
it, son. We'll
have that talk one day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, but no, regardless, I think that Killer Kross or Karrion Kross has the ability to be one of their biggest stars. I really do. He has an ability to communicate in a way that a lot of people haven't seen yet, So I think when you get to, right now he's the backstage vignettes, he's the and they're great. But I think when he gets into that next level, that next tier, when they move him up, I think you need to just see him as this dominant force. I think you need to see him as this fighter in that regard, like this guy that.
It's so funny you bring that up, because it's like I'm thinking now my mind is wandering is about Scarlett. My mind is wandering basically about who else have they missed on in recent times, where you're just like, man, if you just did a little something different, he would have been such a star. And I think about somebody that we almost sat down with or talked to during SummerSlam weekend, Baron Corbin, another guy, like just the lone wolf, man. He was that dude, bro. Like that spotlight on him, the music, everything
Corbin
was and then all of a sudden it's just like, what the fuck? Like what are we doing here, man?
Baron Corbin was an interesting one, because I hated his presentation as whether it was like the Constable Corbin or it was like all this. Yeah. It wasn't good. I felt like it was bad casting for who he was. Like, you don't take him and put him in that role, You don't take James Dean and cast him as Steve Urkel. Like, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't match. It was just polar opposite. I will say, looking at it now, looking back on it, I have a lot of respect for the guy himself, for, who did what he was. I mean, I never blamed him ever.
He basically put up with it.
Yeah, and he did the very best he could. He had gone on record that he didn't feel like he should have been ending Kurt Angle's career. He shouldn't have been, the last match of that, but that's what was given to him. But that whole, like, him wearing his, like, Express, clothes, and, like, it was just, it just didn't work. I felt like he was just starting to hit his stride where fans were starting to just be like, you know what, we respect this guy. Like,
Hmm.
maybe we're not really sure what's going on story wise. We're not really sure what's going on character wise. But you know what? This dude's really actually working his ass off. And then they
Yeah.
let him go for
Hmm.
no reason in my mind. Like, it was not. There was more they could have done with him, and maybe they just felt like they needed a break, and they'll bring him back at some point. But yeah, I think he was just a victim of like the McMahon times of just McMahon not knowing what the hell to do with somebody.
There's
And
plenty of guys. There's plenty of guys on the current roster right now where you're just like, oh, okay, why are you here, dude? Like, why are like, what do you do? Like, what value do you bring?
so
And
I have yeah.
it's not to their fault, right? It's like you want Triple H to cook, right? You want him to be this guy. He's in the kitchen. He's cooking up all these storylines. But guess what, guys? Raw just got dropped to 2 hours, right? You're about to go to Netflix where you can present yourself in a whole different light. SmackDown is different. It's on prime television as well. But like who's the one dude? I'm thinking of it. It looks like $1,000,000. He's shorter, jacked black dude. Apollo Crews.
Oh yeah, he's
Another
phenomenal.
one. Another incredible athlete. And I'm just like, all right, man, can we do something? Can you put him with the heel New Day as the new Big E? Like, you know what I'm saying? Can you do something like that? Like,
So it's interesting the way that you're it's interesting, reading Big E's thing the other week where he talked about how originally the concept was like I think he had said something that it was like Xavier Woods wanted it to be like the new Nation of Domination was the whole thing, right?
mm,
Because it was three black guys. Um and I think it's great that they didn't go with that direction. Everybody wanted it to be that at the time, but I think, then they never would have been able to become what they became.
well,
Um,
who's to say they don't go backwards now and do that now?
but I think it's going backwards. That's the thing. To
Oh,
me, this is something I was going to say about the LWO. I get
mm,
the concept, but I don't like the LWO at all. And the reason I don't like it is because no one has a personality. They're all just, Latino people. Like they're not allowing any of these guys to have their personalities. And we've seen some of them in the past, like Garza and stuff. Like they can have their own personality. It does not have to be linked to their nationality. Like they can.
right.
So that's kind of like where I say, and I get what you're saying with him being the Big E, and I know it just happens to also be black, and I get what you're saying though. But like,
I wasn't like,
no,
hey,
no,
it's
no,
black.
no. I know you weren't. Yeah, um, but I look at it and I just go like, I want that emphasis to be like, I feel like the LWO is a waste. I couldn't tell you who's who, what's going on in it. It doesn't matter. I need more emphasis on the specific personalities and characters. Who are these people? I don't care what their nationality is. Now, I get if you're trying to gain a specific type of demographic, I get it. But at the same time, doesn't mean you can't call them the LWO and bring out their individual personalities. Because look at the Nation of Domination. When did the Nation really become something great? When they all started becoming their own personalities within the Nation. And they were
Hmm.
not these militant black guys. They were, I mean, you had the Godfather, right? You had Sexual Chocolate. You had D'Lo Brown bobbing his head left and right with his chest protector. You had The Rock, obviously. Like, so the thing is, like, to me, if you want to group them based on something like that, based on, oh, well, they're all Latino, so we'll throw them all together and, fine. If that gets them on TV, great. But focus them as the NWO, not NWO 2.0. Make them the end up, right? Because NWO, you had Hall, you had Nash, you had Hogan. Right. But then you also had, Vincent and whoever
Dude,
else, Horace
go
Hogan, and like
go deeper. The WWE version of NWO was dog shit. It was Nash, Shawn Michaels was there for a minute, Booker T, The Big Show, and X-Pac. You know what I mean? Like that version of the NWO was it was like,
yeah.
what the fuck are they doing? Now I was going to bring that up as a question to you, because I know my feelings on it. Like, LWO is also a throwback to what WCW had, right? Like the
Right.
LWO was a thing during the NWO days. And they brought it back, and Rey Mysterio's at the forefront, or was at the forefront. And then on next thing you know, you got like you just said, I don't know who's in it, but
Yeah.
they're there. Could you have the NWO in 2024?
Yeah.
You could.
I think you could.
Now, who would run that?
So here, Bischoff. If you're asking, so here's number one: do they need it? No, they're fine.
No,
right?
no.
But I think there's a perfect opportunity. The legitimacy. Why is it called the NWO? Because Eric Bischoff's behind it, right? Now I know Eric doesn't want to leave his house, but he's
do it. He's lying to us now. He'll
do it. But here's what I would say for fantasy booking here. To me, the fact that Eric showed up and did this one-off in NXT just opened the door. If there's ever a time for the NWO to come back, it's that. Because to me, what it needs to be is Eric being like, I was down in NXT. I was speaking to these people. I saw the people who aren't getting the opportunity. I saw the people who they've been here, like an Apollo Crews, right? He's been an Intercontinental Champion. He's been up here, but he can't get back in. Why? Because, it's all bloodline. Everything's about the bloodline. Everything's about Cody. Everything's about this. What about these guys? What about all them? So that's why, when you start seeing them piece by piece kind of interfering, you're like, what is this kind of group? And then eventually you have the reveal of Eric Bischoff, and you have the reveal that this, I did it once before and I'll do it again but I'm not doing it for myself. This time I'm doing it for, each and every one of you. I'm doing it for these people, these men and women who are not being given the opportunity. This is going to be, once again, a new world order in professional wrestling. And I'm bringing, boom, there you go. You bring them back.
As The Rock does it, got the goosebumps, just kind of like, yeah. Like that.
I'm telling you, that's it's the answer to can it work in 20? Yeah. It can, if they say, okay, but we're really doing this. And it's like, and then they have to be that group that is just interrupting things, and, and then you've got to have that big turn at some point. And maybe it's an opportunity where a guy like everyone talks about Cody turning heel. There'd be nobody better.
You can actually go really outside the box and make it a thing where the outsiders are guys from TNA, because you have this relationship with TNA. Why not, spin it that way? Like, they got, like, didn't they brought over the tag team champions?
That's interesting.
Were the tag team champions, but those two guys, right? Like, you could do that. You can have two guys like, those are TNA guys. What are they doing here? And then
interesting. Josh Alexander is going to be available starting February. There's opportunity to do that. But then the question is, do you need to do that? Or do you look at like a Josh Alexander and you go, oh man, he'd fit perfectly into this new NWO type thing coming in? Or do you look at it and say, it's not necessary. Just bring him in and make him a star on his own. We don't need to rehash the NWO. And that's probably where they would.
You could do both. You could do both. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, fantasy booking 101. For me, nostalgia, NWO. We're talking about nostalgia because we're talking about Saturday night's main event coming down this Saturday night on NBC.
We've been all over the place, and I actually want to hear from all of you. I know this was a very all over the place kind of episode. Personally, I love it because I feel like Dave and I were just having a conversation, or I was talking at Dave. I'm not really sure, but
nodding like
But we want to know, like, do you like this? Where we kind of are just we're talking. This is an hour of just wrestling fans talking. And by the way, we also happen to be relatively experienced people in the industry, so we have we can speak to some things, but. We want to know if that's kind of if you're liking this type of format.
I mean, maybe some of those fans that have been tuning in each and every week can join us on the pre-show of the Saturday night's main event this Saturday.
We'll be live. We want to hear from you.
7 p.m. right here on Ad Free Shows' YouTube channel and across the I almost said across the pond.
And across the pond
way,
over on the on myfandom.uk.
you were just because they were located in the fucking in England. But yeah, no, I listen, shows like this that and again, no discredit to the news people that report the news and like the busted opens of the world. There's a lot of interviews on there. There's a lot of like, hey, this is what happened on Raw last night. Let's talk about it. We could talk about what happened on Raw, but to me, during football season, I'm a very loose Raw watcher, right? Like I'll watch Raw, I'll catch up, I'll see the headlines, I'll see the stuff on Twitter, like all that shit. But like at the end of the day, like I like talking nostalgia a little bit better. Maybe some fantasy bookings, maybe some top 5, top 10 lists, shit like that. I think that those things go a longer way when it comes to, relating to the wrestling fan consumer. Because how many opinions are you going to hear about Monday Night Raw? You're going to hear a million. And the ones that get like pushed to the top are at the top because they've put in the time and they're at the top, like a busted open or that's pretty much all the top is what I'm thinking. And by the way, I will say this. If Busted Open ever gets that golden opportunity to be busted open 24/7, Dave LaGreca, while he doesn't owe me anything, the Wrestling Hour needs to be one of those 24 hours. Just so everybody's
he owes the wrestling fans.
He does. He does owe the wrestling fans for all the shit that he put us up with with the fucking the robe and the crybabies and all this other shit. You owe us, Dave.
I love Dave LaGreca. We're gonna see him January 4th at Absolute or Awesome.
Wow.
Whatever.
Christ. Awesome championship
wrestling.
Dude, that card's getting better and better.
That's insane. But we're gonna see Dave LaGreca there. And here's the thing, Dave. Love you.
Talking to me or talking to
no Dave LaGreca? Love you like a brother. But here's the thing. I feel like you need to prove to the wrestling world that you have the balls to have us on Busted Open. Because right now, I kind of feel like you and Bully and Mark Henry and if Tommy Dreamer, I think they dust him off every once in a while. We'll see Dreamer now too.
Don't fuck around with the innovator of violence, bro. What is wrong with you?
I love Tommy Dreamer. But I just feel like you're in a bit of an echo chamber, and you're a very passionate man when it comes to pro wrestling, and I assume other things as well. I just want to know. I think the fans want to know: do you have the balls to invite us on Busted Open and talk a little wrestling with myself and Dave Sturchio? Do you? Can you handle me in my wife's pink bathrobe? Can you?
I don't know. These are questions that need to be answered.
Dave. You're gonna give the Bischoff. Come on, Dave. Don't you want to just wrap your hands around my neck?
Listen, there is some serious politicking that can go down on January 4th when we talk to LaGreca. I mean, he's got a lot of stroke in that program. I remember, dude, the memories that have been instilled in my head, how he thinks that nobody will listen to a 1-hour wrestling show for my final exam at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting into what he's turned into today, which is, again, the Busted Open is the juggernaut when it comes to pro wrestling talk. Nick Nemeth being added over there, Thunder Rosa, like they have some good.
Nick Nemeth, who will be defending the TNA World Championship at the awesome Championship Wrestling event, Poughkeepsie Rumble, against the bro of bros, the king of bros, Matt Riddle.
Now, again, I'm not cagematch.com. I can't figure out like which match is what in their history. Have they ever wrestled one-on-one? See, I knew it. That's going to be
never wrestled one-on-one. Dave and I have the honor of being able to call that. Yeah, that's going to be that's awesome. I'm really excited to be able to call that. One other thing I'm excited about, I've talked about on the show before, that my first ever like real gig in pro wrestling was carrying Bill Apter's bags to Hardcore Heaven 99 in that building. So this is the only other time I've been in that building was when I was there for Fight, doing social media posts supporting TNA Rebellion. So, but I wasn't a part of the show. So now to be able to be a part of the show, calling a TNA World Title match in that same building where I first walked in, and I found clips. You can see it if you look on the Peacock, you can see me front row, not even more than front row because I actually had a media pass, so I was just standing there. But you can see me if you're looking at the aisleway. I'm on the left corner wearing a striped, gigantic shirt at Hardcore Heaven. But do you know who else wrestled at Hardcore Heaven? Tommy Dreamer, Little Guido.
Mm-hmm.
They will both be a part of the Poughkeepsie Rumble. And I have an opportunity now, 26 years later, to be able to call their matches in the same building where I once watched them on the very first night that I ever had, something like that. So I'm
all comes around full circle,
yeah.
man. All comes around full circle. That's awesome. That's a very cool thing, and like
that.
a legendary venue, and so many cool things have happened there. And Awesome Championship Wrestling making their debut January 4th. I know the feeling. I know what these guys are going through right now. As far as like the prep and the final, we're just a couple weeks away, guys. Like, it's not months, it's a couple weeks away.
Yep.
So get your tickets right now. Follow them on social media and all that shit. They got some great graphics, hype videos. I believe there's a podcast that's associated with it. It's called Another Wrestling Podcast, if I'm not mistaken. That's the guy that reached out to us on Instagram and kind of introduced himself as the graphics guy, I believe. So
yeah, check them out.
Nice little close knit group going on with ACW. We're happy to be a part of it. And listen, guys, the next time you can hear from us, Saturday night live, not on Saturday Night Live, Saturday night live on NBC. No, so we'll be right here on adfreeshows.com's YouTube channel, and of course the MyFandom YouTube channel. It's going to be a good time. We're going to preview all the matches, everything you are excited to see, not excited to see. We'll talk about it. We want you guys to chime in. Last time we did this, we had plenty of questions. We didn't get to everybody, but we will do our damn hardest to get to everybody's comments and questions, and let's have some fun. Let's watch some wrestling. Yeah. Let's enjoy the rest of the week. We'll see you guys Saturday night. For Dave Sturchio, Josh Shernoff, this has been another episode of the Wrestling Hour. Josh, got anything else before I sign off?
I was going to say, I think we got like 3 minutes left to fill up this hour.
Son of a bitch. That was such a good close.
That was such a good close. That was really good. And everybody was like excited too. They're like, oh God, I can finally turn the podcast off.
But wait, there's more.
All right, so let me ask you.
All right.
Okay? Something.
Mm-hmm.
I got nothing. Hey, let's. Okay. Saturday night's main event.
Lightning round.
Do you have? Yeah. What is your favorite? Your top 5 undercard matches in the history of the '80s version of L? Do you have a specific memory associated with Saturday night's main event?
Nothing specific, because it was a generation where I was just getting into it. I don't know if Saturday night's main event was on the air at the same time as WWF Superstars, because that's kind of where I started. WWF Superstars, the story is pretty much, I've been told, I tell it on every single thing I do, is that the first thing was the barbershop for me. That was the first thing that I ever watched, was the Rockers break up. So I didn't even know how good they were before they broke up, right? And then, you get the network and you start to watch it all back. But specifically, no. I do want to ask a question, because I know you're the historian. Is there a chance that the Rockers beat the Hart Foundation on Saturday night's main event and it never made air?
So
was that Saturday night's main event or something else? Because I remember the top rope broke or middle rope broke.
No, that happened. Saturday night's main event, or I don't know if it was Saturday night's main event. I'll have to look into that, but that definitely happened. That it was filmed for something. The top rope broke, and they just never, and they changed the titles, and then they were like, nope, never happened.
The Rockers won the tag titles and then never won it again. Crazy.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous.
Very
ridiculous. Yeah, no, I don't know if that was Saturday night's main event. We'll have to look that up. Oh, you know what? One last thing I want to say. So we did a little test last week. We reacted. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know the number of views that's at right now?
Last time I checked, are we eclipsing like 17,000 or something like that? Like something
like
stupid.
Views of us reacting to what ended up being The Rock popping up at the end of one of the pay-per-views or one of the premium live events recently. Those of you who watched along with us and listened last week, you know that we actually didn't know what we were reacting to.
Right. It's the
One
truth.
person unfollowed us on TikTok because they were so offended by that being a video of our over-the-top reactions to it, which to me just proved the point we were trying to make, which is, guys, you don't have talent. Anyone can do this.
Anybody.
It is so generic that we could literally do the same thing you do to the same obnoxious level to nothing and put a random video, and that was it. So now what I'd like to do, if we could, can you take the exact same video of us from last week and just put it with another thing?
Sure.
And just see what happens?
Yeah,
see
absolutely.
if anybody of these like 17,000 people goes like, isn't this the exact same reaction that you guys had? Like,
I think I did make two, and I sent you one and posted one, but there's one of CM Punk's return to the Survivor Series.
Oh god, you got to do it.
Yeah, I think I did it already. It's on my laptop at work.
So let's post that up and see what happens.
And the person in the comments were like, "Yo, for real, no cap. Didn't this happen a little bit ago?" It's like, yes, sir, it did. As a matter of fact, it happened 2 months ago.
Yeah,
but it's still funny.
So now we're going to go a year ago. And what I want to do is maybe we should progressively go back a year. Like until we're reacting to, oh my God, Zeus just showed up, you know, like, so I really just want to see
from Death Valley, Undertaker.
I want to see, I just want to see how far we can go with this, because this is my way of proving to all of these talentless hacks. People are tuning in because they want to see what is the clip that these idiots are reacting to.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then maybe we can put like the Avengers Assemble, you know, like that. Yeah, like maybe
everything. It'll just be, dude, when Zach and Slater got in a fight.
Oh my God!
Right in the middle of Bayside High. You know, like the reaction to that. You know what I mean? Like there is. Listen, you can do. And it's funny because I brought this up to my barber about how we made a joke of it and we put this reaction. Yes, him. You know, first wrestler I ever met. Put me in a fucking
barber beefcake.
It was the Woodbridge Armory for a wrestling show, and he put me in a sleeper hold and took a picture, and that's the first wrestler I ever actually got in a ring and like shook his hand and like, yeah.
Have you ever seen the video? No, where he cut Bill Apter's comb over.
No.
As a shoot.
Oh.
Bill Apter.
We got to put a video reacting to that.
Dude, we should.
What? This is insane.
We have to. Bill's interviewing him, and he picks up Bill's comb over, you know, because Bill just has, you have to respect the comb over.
Yeah.
Picked up the comb over and takes his scissors and just cuts it. And Bill looked like he was going to cry. Like it was not planned.
Wow,
Bill was
man.
not, you know, Bill is the nicest person in the world.
He really is.
And I think it like, but thank God it grew back. And all 7.5 of those hairs are still combed over.
Say, Bill Apter falls under that umbrella, that category. It's like, it's time to go. Yeah, not like that. Like your hair. Like,
wow, Bill Apter falls in category. Dave Sturchio, breaking news, Dave Sturchio thinks Bill Apter has lived as much life as possible, and it's time to go.
Bill, I love you. I'm just talking.
In other news, George Napolitano is now hiding scared in his basement. The comb. Here's the thing.
What?
It had to go a long time ago, but it's one of those things where now it's like that random like random piece of something or another that you hung onto and you don't know why you need this and you don't need it. But then you turn around and you go, it's been 25 years and I still have this random dinosaur pencil. Like, I really should just get rid of it, but I've had it so long, I should just keep it. Now it's iconic. Now Bill Apter, I mean, that man, I hope he lives to 110. And when he does, and every last bit of hair is falling out of his head, I hope he is just Elmer's gluing that shit to the top.
He's reminding me of, now that we're in the holiday spirit here, like, he reminds me of like Uncle Lewis of National Lampoon. It's like, the thing is,
I thought you're gonna say Marley's Ghost.
No, not at all. No, not at all. All right, now that the show's gone off the rails, once again, join us Saturday night, 7:00, right here where you're viewing this right now. On the
what gets my goat?
There he is again. The goat is back. So funny.
The goat.
Dude, the way I had to break it all down on that reaction video, when you said this is insane, I'm pretty sure at the same time Batman made his appearance. But
yeah, you couldn't see it. Yeah.
I was so upset. We will see you guys Saturday night. Dave Sturchio, Josh Shernoff, another episode of the Wrestling Hour in the can. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you guys Saturday.
Bye.